Between Maundy Thursday and Easter Day, there is today, Holy Saturday, a day of Sabbath rest for many. And here we find ourselves contemplating. Many of us are fearful of this moment, of what is happening. Many of us grieve from separation and also loss of loved ones. Today, let us reflect using scripture and poetry. We find in scriptures that Joseph has sought and gained permission from a Roman Empire to bury Jesus. And we read from John's Gospel, they took Nicodemus and Joseph, the body of Jesus, and wrapped it with spices in linen clothes according to the burial customs. Now there was a garden in the place where he was crucified, and in the garden there was a new tomb in which no one had ever been laid. There was a garden in the place where he was crucified, and today you are in the garden of your life in every moment and experience. You're in the garden of your soul. Many would name this as God's kingdom. A reflection. I am sitting in the garden of my life, rooted in the soil of this lived experience. Now this garden has a gazebo, and I sit under it. Surrounding it, a budding fig tree and a vine, and rain gently falls. It collides, it bounces, it moves, captive to gravity, where there it falls to stone on ground. It has rhythm in this gravity, this grounding. A blackbird sings. Was it raining that sunset evening in that garden? And that evening in Eden? And how has the sound changed its pitch, its tone over the years? Who listened? Who heard? And how? The raindrops, they evaporate, returning to clouds again and again, momentarily, captured by gravity, and then released, evaporated. Carried a movement that captures and re-releases this sound across the aeons. These droplets that span time, they fall and rise, they fall and rise. From nomads and tribes, to clans and settlers, to countries, to empires, building with captives and commerce, spanning the horizons to conquer and rule, all hearing anew old sounds of rain falling new, but falling again upon cultivated earth, blood-stained earth, captive earth, where empire gives permission to work, to overworked earth, where empire fails to yield life-giving fruit. So soon to be barren earth, a returning back to uncultivated earth, but daring to still rise again earth, daring to believe that there is more fruit to be found earth, daring still in the goodness of earth, the soon to be blessed earth, the water filled earth, the fruit filled again here and now earth. But it revolves. Claimed, bloodstained, captive, robbed, tamed, barren, believing again in rebirth earth. Of new adventures down the times, wrought from the earth, war machines that prove and bring domination, destruction. Of land-yielding medicine, wrought from the earth, pandemic curing, socially freeing, leading in compassion through exodus to Sabbath keeping. And these raindrops, they keep bouncing like snare drum sticks off cobbles and bricks, mud hut and tiled roof, falling in time to tarmac and paving, car, bus, lorry and train, boat and plane, field and garden. These promises of freedom. Mere percussions in time. The sound waves of ancestors mingle, rebounding across the ages, echoing old new stories of these beckoning new horizons, of hopes of peace prevailing, of fears, of opposing oppression, of grief and loss, of suffering and pain, and bearing new life. The ancient sounds of Jesus' words, pitched with tone, expressed in verse. You have heard that it was said, but I say to you, how delicate was their texture, how dynamic their sound, how bitter their realization, how quenching their melody of life, bearing new life from suffering, of death, of transformation, of resurrection. New stories. The timber of sound mixed with prophets, poets, priests and storytellers, overtures of revelation explored in medication, words transposed to manuscripts, harmonic sympathies, of new ideas of equality and love, of visions explored to set the people free, of imagination set free to dream anew, of healing for all. New tone and new pitches, melodies become symphonies, embodied in peace, love, justice and liberty, rhythmic in their timing, yet time distorted for claps of thunder with lightning hail, manifest through us, outpouring rivers that flood to swell. Industry, commerce, global empires harvesting deforestation, given permission to enable us to spread their growth. Recession, depression, haunted and haunting returns yet again and again. War of machines and weapons of greed, oppressors, genocidal, yet they too are oppressed. In creation, groaning. Religion, constrained by lack of vision. Captive of a smothered faith with stifled imagination. Then earthquake, flood, fire and disease and pandemics. Mortality once again remembered. Remembering our source like Exodus, returning us to Eden before that evening, returning us to Sabbath keeping, living. How did they hear the sound of rain? How did they hear the blackbird's song, its timbre pulsing all along in the droplets, carried from aeon to aeon, a voice? How do you hear blackbird's song? A sound building, mustering, alluring, summoning you? What are its frequencies to you? What of its tone, its pitch, its tune, its melodies? And how does the soldier hear this day, the general, the politician, the grieving mother or the not yet mother, the youth, the field learner or the college tutor, the day labourer, the migrant worker, the 0-hour contract worker, the blazing inferno fighting firefighter, the tooling in the field tenant fire, or the A&E staff right now rushed off their feet, or the sufferers of illness waiting? And what of those whose faith is secret because of fear? And what of those waiting and yearning to take the bodies of our dead, wrapping and clothing with our love? Some with spices in linen cloths, some with jewelry and dazzling clothes, each and all according to our burial customs. And what of you? And what of I? Are we only but improvising performers, semi-quavers caught in this time? Do we have ears that hear? Can we feel the vibrations? Are we embodied in rain? Or are we simply in this, drumbeats of celebrations, with trumpets of new life, with ballads of maturing and aging, fanfares of death, with the clashes of cymbals that promises freedom and grasps at healing and gathers itself to resurrection. We are all performers in this orchestra, this symphony. Blessed be. How has the Blackbird altered her song, her pitch, her tone? How has she changed her tune, her melodies in the garden of time? Did she adjust her timbre now? From that evening in Eden, in the garden where Jesus was crucified and buried that night, in the garden of your life. For it seems she sings in all the beauty and all the pain. So there I was sitting, contemplating, under that gazebo, by that fig and vine. And it was raining, and the blackbird, she was singing. And in her I heard the chorus of creation, and embodied so in those droplets of rain, constantly pulled back, grounded again and again by gravity. Every note coexists with another, every single human being. You are never in isolation, never solely in solitude, for you are like rain. You are set free, but again you're grounded by gravity. We are all sharers in composition, existence, life, and sensation, of high notes, of low notes, of sounding out. We are part of the blackbird's rain. Yes, we sound out in all the beauty and the pain. So is it like rain, that in our falling we will rise again and again.